My girlfriend said, "Your pathetic little business will never actually succeed. So you should just give up now." She announced this loudly during our anniversary dinner, at the city's finest restaurant in front of everyone. I simply smiled and quietly paid the bill. The next morning, my pathetic business acquired her entire company. Her termination was effective immediately. I, 29, male, had been with Chloe, 28, for 5 years. We had built what seemed like a perfect life in Austin, Texas. I was a software engineer making a comfortable $120,000 a year. She was a marketing manager at a trendy local firm, pulling in about $95,000. Our combined income afforded us a beautiful high-rise apartment downtown. We ate at expensive restaurants 3 nights a week. Our weekends were a blur of rooftop bars, boutique shopping, and getaways with our large, shared group of friends. Chloe was the sun everyone orbited. I was just happy to be in her gravity. One Tuesday, I got an email that changed everything. A recruiter from a major tech giant in Seattle reached out. They were looking for a senior project lead for a new cloud computing division. The role was a massive step up in responsibility and leadership. The offer was staggering. The base salary was $220,000. It included a $50,000 signing bonus and an annual performance bonus of up to 30%. They offered full relocation benefits, including temporary housing. It was the kind of career opportunity I had only dreamed about. I told Chloe that night over a bottle of expensive wine. Her smile faltered. "Sadel," she said. "It rains all the time." "It's an amazing opportunity, Chloe." "For what?" she asked. "To be a bigger nerd in a wetter city. It's a leadership role," I explained. "The salary is almost double what I make now." She scoffed, swirling her wine. "We have a great life here, Alex. This could give us an even better one." "I don't want to leave my friends," she said. "I don't want to leave my job. This is your dream, not mine." She looked at me with cold disappointment. "You're being selfish." Update 1. I told Chloe I would think about it, but my mind was already racing. I secretly scheduled a virtual interview for the following week. I knew I had to explore this, with or without her support. Whenever I tried to bring it up again, she would shut me down. "We're not talking about this," she'd say. "It's a ridiculous idea. We should at least discuss it." "There is nothing to discuss, Alex. We are not moving." Our friends quickly sided with her. At a barbecue that weekend, my best friend Mark clapped me on the shoulder. "Heard you want to run off to the land of gloom." He laughed. Another friend chimed in. "Don't leave us for some boring corporate job, man." They all saw it as a joke. Chloe stood nearby smiling, reinforcing their mockery. She was making it clear that my ambition was an inconvenience to her social life. So I went underground. I started my own quiet planning. I opened a new high-yield savings account at a different bank. I transferred a few $1,000s into it to start. Late at night, after she was asleep, I researched neighborhoods in Seattle. I looked at condos in Bellevue and Kirkland. I read about the tech scene, the hiking trails, and the cost of living. It felt like I was planning an escape. Update 2. After 3 rounds of interviews, they officially offered me the job. I spent a weekend wrestling with the decision, but it wasn't much of a fight. This was my future. I signed the offer letter and sent it back. I waited for Chloe to get home from work that Monday. I sat her down on our expensive leather sofa. "We need to talk about Seattle," I started. "I thought we were done with that," she said, scrolling on her phone. "I got the job, Chloe. And I accepted it." Her head snapped up. Her face went from annoyance to pure fury. "You did what?" "I took the job. I start in 6 weeks. Without talking to me. Without my permission. I'm an adult, Chloe. I don't need your permission." She stood up, her eyes blazing. "You are throwing our entire life away," she yelled, "for a stupid job. I'm building a future. I want you to be a part of it." "I will not be a part of it," she screamed. "You can't just expect me to follow you like a puppy." "I didn't expect you to. I hoped you'd be my partner in this." She stood over me, her voice dangerously low. "You have one choice, Alex," she said. "It's me or that job. If you walk out that door, we are over. Do you understand me?" I looked at her, and for the first time, I saw her not as the woman I loved, but as an anchor holding me down. I stood up and met her gaze. "I understand perfectly," I said. "I've already made my choice." Update 3. The next few weeks were a special kind of hell. Chloe cycled through the stages of grief, but mostly stayed on anger. She sent me a barrage of furious texts, calling me a traitor and a fool. Then would come the tearful voicemails, begging me to reconsider and telling me how much she loved me. A day later, it would be back to rage. She told me I would be miserable and lonely in Seattle. She said I would fail at the job and come crawling back. I didn't engage. I responded to her practical questions about splitting our things with calm, logical answers. My detachment only seemed to make her angrier. Moving day arrived. I had hired movers to pack my half of the apartment. Chloe made sure she was gone, spending the day with her friends. The silence in the apartment was deafening, but peaceful. As the movers loaded the last box onto the truck, I felt an overwhelming sense of relief. My new life in Seattle started in a corporate apartment provided by my company. It was a simple one-bedroom unit with a view of the Space Needle. It had none of the designer furniture or fancy decor of my old place. But looking out at the city lights that first night, I felt a freedom I hadn't realized I was missing. The job was demanding but exhilarating. My new colleagues were brilliant and driven. I was finally in a place where ambition wasn't a dirty word. Update 4, 6 months flew by. I was not just surviving in Seattle, I was thriving. I had a routine. I hit the gym every morning before work. I joined a hiking club and spent weekends exploring the mountains. I got to know my neighbors. I went to street festivals and concerts. I was building a life that was entirely my own. My work was a massive success. I led my team to launch a key project ahead of schedule. The company rewarded me with a $40,000 performance bonus. Combined with my signing bonus, I had enough for a down payment. I bought a 2-bedroom condo in Kirkland with a beautiful view of Lake Washington. Then the messages started coming in, first from Chloe's friends, then from her cousins. They were confused. Chloe said you had some kind of breakdown. One text read. Another said, she told us you quit your job and were struggling. I ignored most of them. For her family, I was polite but brief. Chloe and I had different goals. I'm doing very well, thank you for asking. The truth of her lies became clear. She had painted me as a pathetic failure who had abandoned her. She couldn't accept that I had chosen my own success over her, so she invented a reality where I had no success at all. It was a sad, desperate attempt to save face with her friends and family. Update 5, my company featured me in a big industry publication for the project I led. A few weeks later, I was promoted to Senior Director of Cloud Strategy. It was a huge jump. The promotion came with a new salary of $285,000. I updated my LinkedIn profile with my new title and the link to the article. I didn't do it for her. I did it for myself. But, of course, she saw it. The digital world is small. The first email arrived at 2 a.m. It was titled, "I'm so sorry." In it, she talked about how she missed me and how proud she was of me. She said she had made a terrible mistake. A flood of texts followed, each one more desperate than the last. She said she was wrong to hold me back. The next day, apologies came from our old friends. "Man, I am so sorry," Mark texted. "Chloe told us you were in a bad way. We had no idea." Even my own family, who had been cautiously siding with her, called to validate my decision. "We knew you were making the right choice, son," my dad said. "We're so proud of you." The truth was finally out, and it had set me free. Update 6, a week later, my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and my heart stopped. It was Chloe. She was standing there, holding a small suitcase, looking like she had been crying. I opened the door. "Alex," she said, her voice soft. "Can I come in?" Reluctantly, I let her. She looked around my condo, her eyes wide. "This place is beautiful," she said. "What are you doing here, Chloe?" She tried to act like the woman I used to know, the charming and sweet one. She said she had changed. She said she realized how wrong she was. She begged me to give her another chance. She even suggested she could move in with me. I just stared at her. "You told me I was being selfish," I said calmly. "I know, I was scared," she replied. "You told our friends I would fail. You called my dream a stupid job." "I didn't mean it, Alex. I was just hurt. You posted on social media about ditching losers and upgrading." I continued, quoting one of her old posts. "That was a week after I left." Her face fell. She insisted she was a different person now. "No, you're not," I said. "You haven't changed. Your circumstances have. You saw my LinkedIn profile and my new salary. You saw this condo. You're not in love with me, Chloe. You're in love with my success." I walked to the door and opened it. "You need to leave." You update 7, her begging quickly turned back to anger. 2 weeks later, I received a letter from her lawyer. She was claiming we had a common law marriage in Texas, and that she was entitled to half of my assets, including my signing bonus and the equity in my new condo. I hired my own lawyer. It took him less than an hour of research to shut her claim down completely. We had never presented ourselves as married. We filed taxes separately. We had no joint assets of any significance. Her claim was baseless, a final, desperate cash grab. When the legal route failed, she launched a smear campaign on social media. She wrote long posts about how I had emotionally abused her and stolen her best years. But it was too late. Her credibility was shot. Our mutual friends, who now knew the truth, came to my defense in the comments. They called her out on her lies. Even her own allies started to distance themselves from her. The campaign backfired spectacularly, leaving her looking bitter and isolated. Update 8. 1 year after the move. My life was unrecognizable in the best way possible. I was happier and healthier than I had ever been. My salary had increased again after another successful year. I had even bought a small rental property back in Austin as an investment, a final piece of irony. I was also in a new relationship. I had met Sarah, a landscape architect, through my hiking club. She was kind, independent, and supportive. She celebrated my ambitions because she had her own. With her, partnership felt easy and natural, a team effort rather than a competition. One evening, I received a final text message from Chloe. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. It read, "For everything. You were right. I was jealous and I was a coward. I hope you're happy." It was the first time she had taken full responsibility. I typed back a short reply. "I am. I wish you the best, Chloe." I pressed send and felt a sense of final closure. The chapter was truly over. Final update. A few months later, I was on a work trip in Austin. While grabbing coffee, I ran into Chloe's parents. They looked older and tired. Her father approached me, his hand outstretched. "Alex," he said, his voice full of regret. "We are so sorry." Her mother nodded, unable to meet my eyes. "We saw what she wrote online. We know what she tried to do. We always pushed her to want the best, but we never taught her how to be the best person herself. We failed her, and we're sorry for how she treated you." Their apology meant more than Chloe's ever could. I thanked them and left. Sitting in the airport waiting for my flight back to Seattle, back to Sarah, back to my life, I reflected on the whole insane journey. The lesson was painfully clear. Never let someone else's fear dictate your future. Never make yourself smaller to make another person comfortable. Your dreams are yours alone, and you have to be your own biggest advocate. Betting on yourself is the only investment that is guaranteed to pay off. I was happy, I was at peace, and I was finally, completely fulfilled.